right? You don't have to use all of the sentence types, but I want you to manage this appropriately. All right, so sure, if you want to use a short, simple sentence in here, if you need to use a phrase of some kind, go ahead and do that. But I want you to concentrate on managing this, not necessarily with phrases as we did before, but managing it with the 4 sentence types, right? Pick and choose from those sentence types what you think are reasonable things to be using. For example, right, the gerund is that, I'm sorry, the simple sentence is that, you know, it's got phrases, it can have as many phrases as you want, but if you want to just go right to the, you know, subject, verb, object, great. The compound sentence is a way to use 2 really important things and join them together as a, you know, to send a message that both of these ideas are strong and need to be considered as important in the paragraph. The complex sentence, right, which is that dependent clause plus the independent clause, is the perfect sentence to set up that cause and effect relationship, right? Having that dependent clause up front and then an independent clause at the end. So these are things that you need to be using, you know, having at your disposal. A compound complex, maybe it's, you know, the cause and effect, that there's a cause and there's 2 effects. And you want, you know, the reader to see the 2 things that you're that are coming out of that. Okay, whatever you feel is necessary. Just manage this thing appropriately. Let's see what you can do. We'll put some samples up and we'll critique them. We'll talk about the different types of sentences that you're using. We'll talk about the different components of the sentences to see what you have learned, or in some cases not learned. I'll make the announcement again, just so that everybody's on the same page. Make sure you bring in a draft of your paper on Friday. We're going to go through those papers sentence by sentence. We're going to identify what kind of sentence it is. We're going to identify what kind of phrases you're using. I'm going to have you breaking your sentence structure down. Tell me where your dependent clauses and independent clauses are. And then on Monday, I'll see drafts of your paper. Assuming Monday's class will be sparsely attended. Good, because that's not important. Okay, into the independent clause, what happens in that? This what you're talking about, that's probably the least important thing. It's not the C. It's not the C. It's the process of getting it. So it's the directness that you focus on. If you've got the C, you're simply just telling on, you're focused on C, and then you are back, right? And then your independent clause. Here, and you just flow this, that, and then something else, so. What are you gonna do with that? Okay. Yeah. So that's first one, that's. And it's just a subject verb. I'm trying to avoid that subject verb here. Where are you using
It's really
here?
It's really like this. I know that I put my hand over it, but I like that. That's your fault. That is your fault.
You're focusing in on. Right? That's the point, is that they're just the directness of the flow of water creates it. Don't see. You need to be there. Okay, okay, the correctness is being focused on, but you're gonna see, and you made that secondary in importance, right? So it's the, sure, they're flowing, but the directness that causes the problem. Sixth day over here. Participle phrase. Okay? We might be sentence types. You're using the phrases. I'm okay with you doing that, but I mean, let's focus on getting the different sentences. Okay, but now you've got this thing like that is a short, simple sentence. Like that's the most important sentence in your paragraph. And I'm just like, is that the most important thing? Probably not. Remember, isolate what's important in those independent clauses. Whether they flow quickly or whether they flow slowly, I don't think that's worthy of independent clauseness. Right? I mean, I think that's probably, sure, rivers are moving, but it's the directness of the river that makes erosion. Yeah, okay, so now this is just a short, simple sentence because you've got your participial phrase here in the middle as a non-essential element. So you're just one simple sentence, rivers follow the most directly. Okay, so that's, if you want to start with like a topic sentence there, just a short, simple sentence, now give me something else. Give me some of those other complex sentences or something. Show me some cause and effect, something meaningful. So when you do this, when you're finished, you label your sentences.
Do you think I should make this like definitive?
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, that's got nothing to do, I mean, that's not a good meaningful independent clause, right? Because you're highlighting things that aren't important. See, here's what you're doing. You're making this now two independent clauses, rivers flow quickly and rivers flow slowly. And I'm considering if you did establish the relation of so one, now if you get backtracking now, now you're telling me flow quickly and slowly, and I'm going, well, the whole purpose of this paragraph is to get us focusing on erosion things. So yeah, if you get this quickly and slowly, it's an issue, but it certainly doesn't deserve compound sentences say, hey, consider this and consider that. right? I mean, that, you're Mr. Russian's reader. Okay. Where's your verb? Oh, cause erosion. Okay. Cause erosion. If you look at this, you just got all these non-essential elements down the side of the mountain, wearing away the land, which can be prevented, right? You're putting all this stuff in non-essential elements, the which clause, the commas here, which your whole purpose should be about putting independent clause at the end of the sentence. Move stuff around and get them. You don't have to pack everything into one sentence either. I mean, use a couple of different sentences to do this.
This could be like,
Well, it can't be, a positive should be a noun remaining a noun. It can't be an adjective, it's like the ing word, if it's an ing word or something like that, then it becomes participle. Right, you're emphasizing the sea, right? Your independent clause, the rivers flow out to sea, and I'm going, so what? That's got nothing to do with erosion. The directness is what causes erosion, and you subordinated that in a non-essential element, which you've taken the important thing, and now you've made it unimportant. See the problem with that? Yep. Okay, I don't think I understand this cause and effect relationship here. It says, although rapidly moving water wears away the land, which is this although means, so something kind of contrary has to happen to that. You said the process is being prevented. No, I mean, you're okay with that. I mean, what you've got is just two complex sentences. And when you see both of these as kind of cause and effect relationships, you know, I'm thinking to myself, okay, when rivers do this, they take the most direct route, which I like that cause and effect. But in this one, although it wears away the land, the process can be prevented. You know, and I'm sitting here thinking to myself, that's a huge jump, right? To go from the wearing away process, right? I mean, you may even think to yourself, all right, why don't you kind of put a sentence in there, like a short, simple sentence or something about, you know, the wearing away process is called erosion or something like that, and then say, all right, you know, although that wearing away process is out there, something like that can be prevented. It seems like you've gone from, you know, 0 to 60 in, you know, such a fast time. It's kind of leaving the reader because they're both cause and effect relationship sentences. So I'm thinking, okay, because of this, this happens. Because of this happens. And then all of a sudden you get in my paragraph, right? Where this is asking you to kind of control it. Just curious and stuff. Right, so you did the same thing. All you did is just inverted the order. You're putting this, look, the most important thing is independent clauses. You're taking the least important thing, and you're putting in an independent clause at the end of your sentence. Right? This should be the independent clause. That should be the end of your sentence. It's the directness of the flow of water that causes the erosion, not the sea. Get my point? It's directness. The water moving directly. It's gravity. That's what causes erosion, not the sea. Yeah, I mean, you're taking, okay, so now that's non-essential. I mean, I'll show you some different examples here to show you what people are doing. I think it's some are better than others, but you can take a look at them. Why are you using these phrases? You should be using the sentence bodies. We're using complex, compound, simple sentence. We're after that stuff, not the phrases. I know you can use the phrase. We already did that. Okay. So you've got one compound sentence here. You can go hold, right? This isn't I'm not trying to do one sentence. Which, okay, but we just don't look at how convoluted this is. Rivers, we're going to see flowing a direct route, slowly reflecting this one quickly on sides and ups. So you've got this non-essential element stuff, and it's at the end of your sentence, which is that's where the independent clause should be first, right? And then you just go, however, the erosion caused by wearing away can be, so you're like filling this whole thing with two independent clauses, but the whole rest of it is just a bunch of non-essential things, which is, as a reader, I'm going to be overwhelmed with the non-essential and not the essentials. Give me the important stuff, an independent clause. Guys, just think for a second. Our whole objective here is to establish the important pieces of information in independent clauses. Remember having that conversation? Yeah. So think about what's important. Think about the things that we talked about before. The independent clauses should be something about the directness. The independent clauses might have something to do with the wearing away process. The independent clause should be something about how to prevent, right? So what we should be looking for here are essentially maybe 3 different types of sentences where you have independent clauses that are doing those things: directness, wearing away process, prevention, right? I'm just seeing, maybe it's because, it's the point in the semester and you're, overwhelmed with other things or something like that, and you're not focused on this. But I mean, you need to be zeroed in on the process here, right? That you're trying to isolate certain things so that they are held up as being important. Put the important things in independent clauses at the end of your sentences. I'm not interested in seeing you condense this down to one convoluted mess, right? Where you have a bunch of just non-essential elements all packed in around each other that don't focus on the independent clause. Control it. Get to the point where you can highlight the independent clause at the end of your sentence. Those important things: directness, wearing away process, prevention. Those are the things that you should be focused on for independent clauses. All the rest of it then gets moved into non-essential or introductory elements, right? I mean, what I'm seeing is just an emphasis on, nothing. You're just trying to throw words on a page in a different order than where they are here. You're not controlling it, right? And this is the reason why, I bang my head against the desk when I'm reading your research papers, because this is what I deal with, right? Where I get a bunch of sentences that aren't controlled. You're just throwing information down in a paragraph in whatever way you can just to make it readable, right? Make it look like a paragraph, make it look like there's continuity and flow, but there's not an attention to what's important. Put the important pieces of information in your independent clauses, and put those independent clauses at the ends of your sentences. It's not hard. I'm not asking you to split atoms, right? I'm asking you to just control information. Okay, so look at the transition gap here. The direct to converge out to sea. And you say erosion is a process of wearing away the land. So this makes sense as a transition. But now you've lost the transition here. So you got to do something here to show me that this convergence is the leading to erosion. All right, so give me that transitional statement there. Okay. That's not a decoupling clause. When you move it, it's got to have a certain conversion. Okay, so do something, yeah, with that, and then hand that. That's not person. That's G plus person, right? Now this one. This is a simple sentence as well. This is a simple sentence. This is a simple sentence. And then this is a honest voice. Because you type in the clause, join with another independent clause with a comma. Right? You gotta join those two independent clauses together and correct it. Okay. So this, whether traveling for the disclosure, that's not a dependent clause. There's no subject and verb. That's just another transition phrase. Okay, I'm starting to see signs of hope. That's not compound complex because this is just a prepositional phrase.
Okay.
That's not a dependent clause.
So would it just be?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Yeah, but your subject verb is rivers flow out to sea. That's your subject verb object, right? It's just directness, right? You need to take the sea bit and move it into a position of prime importance or secondary importance. So your subject verb object is rivers flow at sea. You know, going, who cares if they're long? It's the movement. It's not Okay, let's take a look at a bunch of different examples, and I can show you how people are using this for, you know, different strategies to create different meanings. And I think this is, you know, look, they're all good in different ways. They're not. There's no right or wrong answer here. I'm just saying there's different ways to manage this. You just need to be able to see how different people are doing it, so that you can get an idea of how you are going to do it. All right. So this is a little harder to read than most, but we'll go along. So we're going to start off with a complex sentence. When rivers flow. So here's a subject, here's a verb, here's the word that signifies a dependent clause, right? So that's my starting off with a complex sentence here. So when rivers flow quickly on the sides of mountains and slowly on flat terrain, you can use the pronoun they here. They take the most direct route to their destination. So here's my independent clause, right? That rivers take the most direct route. That's the important thing, right? So there's the independent clause, rivers, directness. I get it. The whole bit about mountains and flat terrain, that's subordinated. That's up here in the dependent clause, which is the position of secondary importance, right? That's not the important thing. This is the important thing. Rivers take the most direct route to their destination. During the process of erosion, which is just a prepositional phrase, right? Water wears away the land, which is my independent clause. So here, water wears away. There's my subject verb. That's important. Semicolon, however, to signify that we've got a compound element here. Now we're going to show a different independent clause. Planting trees, shrubs, and grasses can be used to mitigate this process. So planting can be used. I don't know if I like that subject verb. Planting can be used. But essentially, it was an attempt at a gerund here, right? Planting, the act of planting, did something. So this is a compound sentence. This is a complex sentence up here. Two different sentence types. Focus in on the right things, though. Rivers take the most direct route. Water wears away the land. And then planting trees, shrubs, and grasses can prevent this process. Everybody see that? Okay, that's one way of doing it. Here's one that's a little bit more readable. Three different sentence types here. Let's back this up so you can see. Three different sentence types here. We're going to go complex, compound, and simple. All right, let's find out why. When rivers flow out to sea, there's the river's flow, right? And we don't care that they're going to sea, right? That's why it's in a position of secondary importance. And then look at this. Whether quickly or slowly, right? A non-essential element, so that's the weakest piece of information. The most direct route is taken. Okay, that's passive voice. We can fix that, right? Rivers take the most direct route. We can invert that. But essentially, the focus is on the directness of the movement of the water. That's the primary. That's a complex sentence. I've got a dependent clause, and I've got a non-essential element here. And now the compound sentence comes next. Erosion, the wearing away of the land. There's another non-essential element, which makes that third degree of importance, right? Erosion is caused by rapid movement of water. However, semicolon, however, indicate there's a compound element here. The process can be prevented. So take a look at this. When rivers flow out to sea, the most direct route is taken. Erosion is caused by the rapid movement of water, but the process can be prevented. To prevent erosion, a nice little infinitive phrase here, planting trees, shrubs, and grasses in those areas is essential. So there's the independent clause here, right? A simple sentence with an infinitive phrase, a compound sentence to kind of handle this whole bit about erosion and how that it can be prevented, and then the complex sentence up here saying, hey, here's the cause and effect. When rivers move, that's the direct route that causes this to happen. So think about the process that she's managing here. This is really good, right? She does the complex sentence to show the cause and effect. Hey, when water moves, it's the directness that causes erosion. And then erosion, oh, by the way, it's the wearing away of the land, is caused by that rapid movement. However, the process can be prevented. So now the nice little using the compound sentence to go from the fact that erosion is this rapid movement, but it can be prevented. And then last sentence, planting trees, shrubs, and grasses is essential for that prevention process. It's a pretty good way to manage it, right? Complex sentence to show the cause and effect, compound sentence to manage those two important elements, and then the simple sentence at the end saying, hey, you know what? All this all leads to this point right here where we need to prevent erosion from happening. Which I don't understand why we're trying to prevent erosion, because it's a natural process. Why wouldn't we just let nature take its course? Why is it our job to prevent erosion? I don't know. Every day I wake up and ask lots of questions. How about this? Starting off with a complex sentence. Whether rivers flow quickly down the sides of mountains or slowly on flat terrain, they take the most direct route to the sea. Now, to the sea, should that be at the end of the sentence? Probably not, but they take the most direct route. I get that, right? There's my important thing right there. So that's a dependent clause because rivers flow, and the word whether is going to be used to signify the dependent element, right? Here's my primary, here's my secondary. And now another complex sentence. When water flows rapidly, there's water flows, but we've got a compound complex coming. It can wear away the land through a process called erosion. Notice that nice little prepositional phrase here at the end of the sentence. It can wear away the land in that process, comma, but to signify the new independent clause is coming, this process can be prevented. So complex sentence, compound complex sentence, and then the wearing away of the land can be combated by planting trees, shrubs, and grasses. A simple sentence at the end. Notice what's happening in those last two examples. The same principle applied. Hey, there's a cause and effect relationship. Let me give you some information about that cause and effect, and let me tell you how to prevent it. And notice that in each of these examples, the last sentence was a short, simple sentence about, hey, let's prevent it this way. That's doing the thinking, right? Setting it up. Here's the cause and effect. Here's what it is, and here's how to prevent it. So the most important thing that I'm getting out of this is the focus on prevention, right? Because Those two sentences up above, the complex sentence and the compound sentence, are filling me with a bunch of kind of movement of ideas, and then the last sentence is just a simple one. Boom. Prevent it this way. That's good. That's what we want. Control. Not chaos, control. Here we go. How about this one? This is going to start in a different way. I'm not saying this is wrong, I'm just saying this is just a different way to do it. Many rivers follow in the most direct route. Short, simple sentence right off the bat, almost like a topic sentence. Hey, it's the variability of water, right, that's a problem, but it's the directness that's going to be a thing we're going to discuss. So here we go. Many rivers follow in this most direct route. And then, although the speed of water differs on the terrain, dependent clause, not important, cause and effect relationship though, the movement of water causes the land to wear away. Here's my important thing. So rivers follow in the direct route. The movement of water causes the land to wear away. This process of erosion is destructive, but through the planting of trees, shrubs, and grasses, individuals can contribute to its prevention. Nice little compound sentence here at the end, right? In other words, this process is destructive, but we can prevent it. So here's this, start me off with a simple sentence. Give me that cause and effect relationship here with a complex sentence, and then this compound sentence at the end saying, hey, we know this, but we can do this to stop it. The process is reversed, right? And this one, the short, simple sentence up front is kind of an attention grabber. Hey, pay attention to this issue of direct flow of water. And then all of a sudden, here's some complicated sentence structure behind it. But it gets to that point of independent clauses and the right things. Independent clause about directness. Independent clause about the movement of water and wearing away the land. The process is destructive. Individuals can contribute to its prevention. 4 good independent clauses there. Nice. Different. Different is sometimes good. Okay, how about this one? Complex sentence. When rivers flow out to sea, they take the most direct route. Okay, that's good. We don't want to focus on the sea, right? So put that up front. And now another complex sentence. While some rivers flow slowly and some rivers flow quickly down mountains, the rapidly moving water wears away the land. Aha, rivers have a direct route. The rapidly moving water wears away the land. This wearing away process is called erosion. There's the independent clause, comma coordinating conjunction. It can be prevented. So this paragraph is setting this up. We want you to know what erosion is and how to prevent it. So these 3 sentences are all leading up to, hey, this is this thing called erosion. So it's the directness of water, it's the wearing away of land. This process is called erosion, and we can do this to prevent it. Look at that progression of ideas. The 2 complex sentences leading up to this definition, and then the second half of that independent clause going, hey, you know what? Now that you know what this is how you prevent it. Those are good. Those are really good. That's what we're shooting for in your paragraphs. I can't remember who's here, so. You had yours, right? Yours last, first, second. Who else had papers? This was yours? This yours? All right. All I'm getting you to try to understand now is that you've got different strategies, right? 9 different ways to approach, 5 different phrases, 4 different sentence types, control, right? That's what we're shooting for. You are dealing with complex medical issues. The more complex the topic, the more need for control over your sentence structure, because your reader is going to be overwhelmed with information. Your reader is going to be lost. This isn't about just putting a bunch of facts down in paragraph form. It's not about just making it look like a paragraph. It's about controlling your argument based on your thesis, based on the criteria that you establish in your operational definition. You know that. That's what we've been working for in those first 3 and 4 papers, is just getting you to be able to argue your purpose. If you don't know your purpose, you can't focus your sentence structure on achieving that purpose. And this is the reason why some people just ran the train right off the tracks and into the pond, because they weren't focused on the objective, which is to argue their position. If you know what you're trying to accomplish in every paragraph, then you'll know how to get your reader there by using these different strategies. Focus in on those independent clauses that have that strong subject-verb relationship. Get those action-oriented verbs in there. Get rid of that meaningless language, right? That conversational language. You know how to do that. Now it's about control. Look, this is critical thinking, right? It's all I'm asking you to engage in is the ability to kind of just think about things and to strategize. And I realize, there's a lot of pressure. There's, a lot of things coming on top of you here at the last part of the semester. There's a lot of exams and all those kind of things, right? Well, get used to it, right? You're not going to get a sympathy story from me, right? I just want you to understand that, look, that this is what your program requires of you, right? Work hard, figure these things out, budget your time appropriately, right? And if you got problems, come talk to me about it. But all I'm telling you is just this stuff. If you can do this, manage this information appropriately, right? This is what gets you the A paper. If you want to just kind of fumble around with words and just get ideas down in a paragraph that looks like a paper, all right, well then don't expect anything in terms of grade, right? I mean, that's just what average people can do. We're expecting you to operate at a whole different level. It should be motivating you to work harder. Okay? I'm just trying to motivate you. I'm not trying to. If I'm not motivating you, then let's sit down and talk in my office so that I can motivate you in some other way. All right. I know some of you want to talk to me about paper topics, so I'm going to adjourn class early today. If any of you want to stick around, ask questions about paper 5 and what you're doing. All right. But look, don't send me those emails that say, hey, I want to do whatever, because I'm going to say, good for you, right? So if you're concerned about your paper topic, then send me an email that says, here's what I found. This is what I'm thinking about as my operational definition. Here's what are the other treatments that are out there that I'm excluding for these types of reasons, right? Tell me that you've been doing some thinking. Don't just throw out a topic at me. What am I supposed to do with that? Right? You need to be able to show me that you've been doing some thinking, some planning, some processing of this information first. That's fun.